Pulling, start.
Good afternoon, grade 11. My name is Puleng Liziga and I am your LO teacher for the duration of the lockdown. On the screen are my contacts. It is my email lizigapuleng@yahoo.com. So it is Liziga, which is my surname, Puleng, which is my name, in small letters at yahoo.com. So you can make sure that you contact me on the email address that I put on for you. Now, last week, Friday, we finished off with chapter 7, which was on study skills. And now we're on chapter 8, unit 1, which is physical education. And the theme we're doing is safety in games. Now, you know that in LO, what you do is you usually go outside when it comes to physical education. But because of the lockdown, we aren't able to go outside. So what we're going to do for this chapter is that we are going to cover the theory, and then when you get back to school, hopefully you'll be able to cover the physical activities. So we're going to do unit 1 and unit 2. So let us start with the lesson. Now, what I want you to know, the lesson objectives for this lesson are that you know the important facts about warming up and down, that you know the importance of following instructions, that you know the basics of how to do first aid, and that you know the facts on how to help other players. Now, moving on to our first slide, meaning we have started our lesson for today, warming up and cooling down. Now, it is important for us to warm up as players and as they're taking sports and taking part in physical activity. So the reason why it is important for us to warm up is because it prepares your body for physical activity. It warms your muscles and makes them more supple. It lessens the risk of muscle and joint injuries. So what happens is that when you warm up, you're able also to pick up your heart rate. So when you're in full activity, when you're playing your game, your heart will be working very hard and pumping very fast. So what happens is, in order to prepare your heart for working very hard, you need to slowly start with it, make it start pumping quicker and quicker slowly, so that you don't collapse so that you don't have a breakdown when you are moving at a fast rate. So it's just like baking. When you bake, before you put your bread in the oven, you need to preheat the oven. Once you preheated the oven, then you can put your bread into the oven. So you can't exercise and you can't play games or take part in activities before you've warmed up, because it also loosens up your muscles so that you don't get injured whilst you are playing. And then warming up usually lasts 5 to 10 minutes of gentle exercises that slowly increase in intensity. And an example of warming up is to jog on the spot, which will raise your pulse and make you warmer, swinging your arms to loosen up your joints, and doing a few stretches at the beginning of your of your session, of your sports session, so that you can loosen up your muscles. And then the second slide is for cooling down. After you've lifted up your heart rate, you're busy with your physical activity or your sports, which obviously involves intense works out, running, jumping, and doing everything. You need to cool down. So cooling down is the total opposite of warming up. So you're doing the opposite. When you warmed up, you were slowly raising your heartbeat. So now you're slowing everything down. So you've been involved in working out. Now you're slowing your heartbeat. So cooling downs are the opposite of warm ups. They help you to slow down your heart rate and cool your body after exercise. So cooling down helps you to slowly get your heart rate and breathing back to resting levels. It helps you to prevent you from feeling dizzy or fainting, which can happen when you suddenly stop vigorous physical activities. Meaning, when you stop exercising, you don't just stop and then not warm down. Because if you just stop quickly, then you will feel dizzy or you'll faint. And then it also helps you to remove the waste products from your muscles. And the waste products that you usually find in your muscles are lactic acids. So high levels of lactic acids will make you to get injured. So in order to lower the lactic acids in your muscles, you need to cool down or warm down. So it will also help you to prevent injuries. So a cool down consists of low intensity exercises for 5 to 7 minutes, such as slow jogging or walking and stretching. So now we know the importance of warming up and cooling down before and after your physical activities or your sports. So also now we're moving on to the next slide. I've already put it up, following instructions. So here we're going to hear what the importance of following instructions when you're playing sports is. So this is the importance of listening and doing exactly as you're told. So the following instructions are important and are a safety requirement when playing games. So when you're playing a game or when you are playing sports, whatever sport you're taking part in as an extramural activity or outside in your community, whether it is hockey, netball, soccer, basketball, you will have to see to it that you follow instructions. So bullet point number 1, always follow instructions from your teacher, team, leader, captain, coach, and umpire. This is for your own protection. And then bullet point number 2, follow the rules of the game. These rules are there to protect you and others in the game. And then listen carefully to your teacher. Respond when the whistle blows. So listening to the umpire is very important. When you don't respond when the whistle blows, then it means you are defying the rules of the game. And the rules of the game are so that they can protect you and they can protect other players. So follow hand signals. We know that each game has its own hand signals. So the hand signals are different from rugby to soccer, netball, and all the sporting codes have different hand signals. So what you need to do is make sure that you know the hand signals and that you obey the hand signals that will be given to you most of the time by your umpire. And then you need to obey all instructions. So you need to obey the instructions given to you by your captain, and your captain usually helps you to calm down. If there are angry people on the pitch, the captain is there to keep the to keep the players' spirits down, to keep the players in control, to help the empire control the players, and to help the coach with giving instructions, making sure that the instructions get to the players. So you also obey the instructions from your coach. Your coach will tell you what the game plan is and how to play safely. And the empire will also help you out. So remember the second last bullet point. Remember that the game rules are there to protect you and others. So the rules with regards to games are not there to stop the flow of the game or to prevent you from exhibiting your skills to the best of your abilities. I know sometimes some people defy rules because they feel like the rules are limiting their ability to play or to show their skills in the way they want to exhibit them. But the rules are actually there to protect you and they're actually there to protect other players too. So you need to listen carefully to the instructions that you are given and make sure that you follow them in order for you to prevent injuries and so that you don't hurt others. And then the next slide is the size and the surface of the playing area. Now, the size and the surface of the playing area also plays a role in safety. So the size of the playing field should be large enough so that you don't bump into other learners. And then okay, so you can't hear me properly. Okay, thank you.
Uleng, unmute your microphone and continue.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Continue. Teacher, I cannot see your screen at the moment. Start your desktop.
My desktop. Okay, I'm trying to open it.
You're open. You can continue.
Can you see my slides?
I see your slide. You may continue with your class.
Okay. Alright, thank you. The size of the playing field should be large enough so that you don't bump into each other. So, like I was saying, you need to have enough players on the field that are in a field that is big enough for the players. So if you're on a small field, then you're not going to be able to play. You're going to bump into each other. And more preferably, you should play away from windows and buildings so that you don't break windows and so that you don't damage buildings. And then second bullet point, make sure the area in which you will be playing games is clear of broken glass, sharp stones, and objects that may hurt you. So this is the job most of the time of the umpire and of the coach, of the technical team, that before you play, they should go on to the field and check the condition of the field. So they'll check whether there's broken glass, sharp stones, and they'll also check, which is the fourth bullet point, check for holes in the ground, as you may trip or twist or break your ankle. So this is all about checking the field, whether it is a good field for you to play on, whether it is a safe field for you to play on. So checking the field is very important for holes. If there are holes, then you need to add some soil and make sure that the ground is level so that you don't fall into the hole. Make sure you keep a distance from windows, like I said, so that you don't break the windows. And then we're going to start first with basic first aid. So this is how to teach you how to do first aid, because you never know when you're playing or when you're taking part in sports what is going to happen. Someone might get an injury, faint, or lose consciousness. So you need to know what to do in order to help someone who has lost consciousness. So remember that you must always get medical help as soon as possible, and you must get because first aid is just for emergency and it does not replace proper medical care. So you still need to get to the hospital, you still need to see a professional nurse or a doctor so that they can be able to take care of you, because first aid won't be able to take care of you properly, just so that they can keep you All right, and make sure that you're fine whilst you're waiting for the ambulance. So we're going to look at the bullet points firstly for when your nose is bleeding. So if you have a nosebleed, these are the things to do. You need to sit down first of all. Don't walk around and don't stand up on your feet and be active. You need to sit down and be calm, and you need to be still. Then you need to lean your head forward slightly, and then you need to pinch the soft part of your nose for 10 minutes, meaning you're going to close your nose so that the blood doesn't stream out. Then you need to breathe through your mouth. So you're obviously not going to be able to breathe through your nose because your nose will be bleeding. So you're going to have to breathe through your mouth. And then loose your clothes around your neck. So if you're wearing tight clothes around your neck, something stiff around the neck, you're going to have to make sure that you loosen the clothing around your neck so that you clear your passage. And then do not sniff or blow your nose for a few hours. If you sniff or blow your nose for a few hours, then if you sniff or blow your nose for a few hours, then you're going to bleed some more. So in order to stop the bleeding, you need to not sniff or blow your nose for a few hours. And then basic first aid for broken bones. So this is what you need to do if someone breaks a bone. You need to support them steadily, and you need to support that injured limb. So you're going to try your best not to move the person. Don't move the person because you're not a professional. You don't know how far broken the limb is. So if the injured person needs to be moved, you need to secure the limb with padded splints and bandages. That is if you have them. But it's always advisable to wait for the ambulance and paramedics because they have the right equipment in order to move someone who has injured their limbs. And then you need to keep the person warm. You can throw a blanket over the person, a mink, or you can just throw a jersey or something so that they can keep warm. And then get to the hospital as soon as possible. Like I said, first aid does not replace quality care from the hospital. And then cardiopulmonary resuscitation, which you know as CPR. So you need to follow the following steps in order to do CPR. You need to open the airway so that if the person is not breathing, you need to make sure that they are lying flat, face up, and that their mouth is open so that you can open their passageway for breathing. Step 2, you need to check for breathing. So you're going to look for movement in the chest, listen to sounds when they're breathing, and feel for breath with your neck, not for longer than 3 to 5 seconds. So basically what you're doing then is to check whether the breathing is correct. Because obviously they need to breathe in order to stay alive. Oxygen is key for them to stay alive. So step 3, give 2 slow breaths into the mouth of the victim. Take 1.5 to 2 seconds per breath, just enough force to cause the chest to rise. So obviously when the chest rises, it means the person has been able to breathe in and fill their lungs with oxygen. So you need to blow the air into the person's mouth until the chest rises so that you know that the person has been able to fill their lungs with air. Step 4, you need to check the pulse. Keep the head tilted and check for a pulse on the side of the neck. Do not take longer than 5 seconds. So checking for a pulse is checking whether the heart is still beating and that the person is still alive. So you can check for the pulse on the neck, and you can check it on the wrist. So that is another place that you can check the pulse. And then step 5, if you do not feel a pulse, start chest compressions. Kneel at the victim's shoulders. Put your hands properly in the middle of the lower half of the breastbone. And then basically you're going to push your hands. You'll be pushing the chest with your hands. I'm sure you've seen it before. They love playing those scenes in movies and in drama series where they're resuscitating someone who has fainted. So you're just going to push with both your hands until that person recovers and starts breathing. So give 15 compressions at a rate of 80 to 100 compressions per minute. Then give 2 breaths. This completes the cycle. You can do 4 cycles in 1 minute. So this is the pushing on the chest that I just described. So you're going to do it 15 times per minute. So again, the last bullet points, check for pulse again, keep head tilted. If there is no pulse, then you need to continue with the CPR. So you do it all over again from step 1 to 15 until you can feel a pulse. So dealing with blood in a responsible way. So when people are injured, there will usually be blood sometimes, maybe not always, blood on the scene. So it is important for you to make sure that you stay safe and make sure that you don't come into contact with blood with your bare hands. So you need to use plastic bags around your hands or rubber gloves to prevent HIV infection and other infections that you can get with the physical contact of blood. So make sure the plastic bags or gloves are clean. Wash your hands with soap and water after helping a bleeding person, even if you've covered your hands with plastic bags. So you do need to wash your hands after you have helped a person who is bleeding, whether it's a nosebleed or a small knee injury or a small hand injury. You still need to put on gloves and you need to wash your hands. So you need to try to use hot water and soap. Hot water will help kill the bacteria in the blood of the person, and it will also help you to use soap because soap is a disinfectant, and it will also help you to keep the infection from entering your body. And then you need to care for other players. Keep these points in mind in order to play safely with others. Rough tackles are not allowed. So be careful of how you tackle people when you're playing. So don't be too rough. And then a touch or attack is a light touch, so don't grab. So don't be vigorous, don't be aggressive, don't grab people, don't pull, don't push people, and avoid throwing a ball or stick or other objects towards their sensitive bodies, sensitive parts of the body. So this is to keep safe, and this is to make sure that you don't injure each other. So you need to take precaution and take extra care of the people that you're playing with. It is everyone's responsibility to take care of each other so that, like we started the game, being safe, everybody can end the game. At the end of the game, everyone can be safe and as healthy as they started. So we are done with the lesson of the day. So the summary is that you must always warm up before and cool down after each game. You warm up before you play games to prepare your body for the physical activity to follow. A warm up usually lasting 5 to 10 minutes consists of gentle exercises that slowly increase in intensity. And then when you cool down, cooling down is the opposite of warm up. They help you to slow down your heart rate and cool your body after exercise. The size and surface of the playing area also plays a role in safety. Always get medical help as soon as possible, because first aid is just so that you can get stabilized. It does not replace proper medical care. So that is the lesson for today. Sorry about the technical issues. So tomorrow will be much better. So please join me tomorrow, where we'll be covering chapter 8, unit 2. So we're still busy with chapter 8. We'll be completing it tomorrow, and then we're going to move on to a new chapter. Like I said, we're not going to be able to do the physical activity part. So tomorrow, unit 2 will be the last of chapter 8. So for more information, you can go to Africa Teen Geeks and contact them on social media. It is at Africa Teen Geeks on all social media platforms. And then what you can do is you can still email me. I put my emails on the first slide, which is litikapuleng@yahoo.com. So it's litikapuleng with small letters @yahoo.com, and that is where you can find me. All right, thank you for being part of the lesson. You're welcome to join the lesson tomorrow. Yes, thank you.